Hello everyone, my name is Amari, and this is the first episode of AmariPrograms. Today, we'll be introducing ourselves to Python. Python is a programming language. It is the most popular programming language. You may ask yourself, what can you do with Python? Well, you can do a lot of things. You can write scripts to do simple tasks for you. You can create all types of projects, which can extend to app development, game development, just basically anything you want you can do with Python. And that's the cool thing about it. And the reason why it's so popular is because it's just so simple. So today we'll be using Python. Python is an IDE, an integrated development environment. It is open, it is free, and the download link will be in the description. And like I said, it's free. Python is also free. Python, you can download the latest version on the Python website, which will also be in the description. And the only note for downloading Python is you want to make sure that you run it to the path. It will be an option when you set up. It will be you have to click it, run to path, so that you can use Python anywhere within your computer. Okay, so right now I'm in Python. I'm going to create a new project. Okay, now that we are in Python, now that we are in Python, we can start writing some code. Now, we're gonna start from the very beginning, and we're gonna work our way up, okay? So, this is for pure beginners. Like, if you've never seen code before, and you're like, I have no idea what to do, I have no idea where to start. Well, this is where you're gonna start. In Python, the most basic thing you can do, and really in any programming language, is you can print to the console. Okay? So the most basic statement you will ever see in programming is hello world. And what this print statement is it is printing to the console log. And what do I mean by console? What does that mean? Well, if I press run, in this console here, it's going to print hello world. So it's just like writing on a piece of paper, hello world. And that's all it's doing. You're printing to the console, hello world. Okay? And what we're printing is a string. And we'll get into the data types later. But this is a string. And we can also print a number. I can print 6 in int. I can print 6.7, a double, or a float. I can print, true, a boolean. You can do a lot with Python. Okay? So the most basic statement, hello world. This is the most basic statement in Python. And again, it's just printing to the console. So, So in Python, we have what we call in a lot of programming languages, we have comments. So what a comment is it's telling the program to completely ignore this line of code. This is just for humans to read, okay? So only humans can see this. Python will completely ignore this line of code. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a comment like this, hashtag, and then I'm going to say print hello world. Okay. So Python does not see this at all. It will completely ignore this. So again, once I press run, it will just say hello world. And again, print, and just to have some variety. So print, it will print on one line. So this is one line, this is another line. And what I mean by this is that if you look here, hello world goes on one line, 6 goes on another line. So it prints by line. If you want to not have it do that, there's another thing, but we'll get into that later. So once you have seen print statements, next thing we can talk about is variables. Now variables really is one of, if not the most important thing you're ever going to deal with in any programming language, because they're used in every single program. You will never have a program without variables once you get into the advanced stuff. Okay? So if you're new to Python, if you've never seen a programming language before, a variable, it's basically a storage. Okay? So if I do, let's say, name. So this is the variable name. So my variable name is name. I'm going to set it equal to my name, which is Amari. Okay? So what it's doing is it's taking this value, this string, Amari, and it's storing it like a storage, like it's like putting it in a box. It's putting my name inside this variable location called name. Okay? Now you may be thinking, well, what am I ever going to do with that? Well, if I go back to these print statements, and I'm actually just going to comment these out. If I do print, and let's just say Amari, but say for some reason I wanted to print my name this many times. Alright, and press run. Well, if I wanted to change all of these to John, let's see how long that's going to take. I'll have to change it, 6 times, and that's just not productive at all. So instead, I can get rid of all of these. I have this variable name equals Amari. I can just do print name, so we can also just print out variables. It's gonna print whatever is in this location. This storage is going to print out. Okay. So now, print name is the same as just printing this. Print name is gonna print my name, Amari, in the console. Okay. So, like if I do the same thing as I did before, I just print this out like this, it's gonna print my name 6 times. What if I want to change it to John? Well, I just change this variable name to John, and then boom, all of them are changed to John. Now this is very convenient in more complex programs where you're gonna have to do this. You may have to change values constantly when you're testing stuff. So it's convenient to have this stored in a location that you can access easily and change and manipulate easily. Okay. So this example was with a name, right? It was with a name John or my name. Well, we can also say age equals 32, so it can also hold integer types. So an integer, so once we get into, so now we can actually start getting into data types since we're getting into variables. So let's start. That's not Python. Data types. So string. So you have string, which is just letters, okay? You have integers, which are whole numbers, so 1, 2, 3. You have doubles, which is decimals, so that's just 1.7, 2.8, 10.1. Okay, so you also have, and they can also be called, so let's do floats. They can also be called floats. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, floats and doubles are basically the same thing, except I think doubles can hold more decimal places. I think that's what it is. You also have booleans, so that's going to be true or false. So that's true or false. We'll get into that later. And yeah, these are the main data types you're going to need to know for now. And these are universal. So you'll see these in pretty much every programming language you encounter. But in Python, you don't have to declare, you don't have to say int age. You don't have to say it's an integer. Python will know if it's an integer or not. So age equals 32. And so once again, we could just print out age. And right now it just should print out the 32. And then actually let's print out, so we'll print out name. And I'll print out age. And now we could say what's a good double type? Average. Average equals 52.1. So I could print that out. And once again, it'll print it in the console. So now we have your string, John, your age, 32. You have your double, the average, 52.1. And then you could say let's say is true equals true. And we'll print is true. Now you'll notice I did what we call Camel Case. So this is just a programming convention, okay? If you have two words, so if I have two words, so say like I did is true, two separate words. Well, in Python and in any programming language, you cannot declare a variable with spaces in between words, okay? So you cannot do is true equals true. That's not a variable. So instead, you can do underscore is underscore true. You can also do, which is the most accepted way, is true. So we separate words by capitalizing the first letter of the word. But you have to be careful because you don't want to do this. You don't want to do is true. Sometimes you can do that, like it won't give you an error, but that's just not a good programming convention. And what I mean by programming conventions is that Python and other programming languages, they will allow it. It won't cause an error, but it's just not a good way to program. Okay? So back to what I was saying with the Boolean. So this is the Boolean is true. It's going to print out true. And with Booleans, it's either true or false. So is true equals false. I'll just print out false. Okay, so we have these basic data types, and we have these print statements. So in the next video, we'll be talking about ways that we can further use these print statements, and we'll also be talking about inputs. So that will do it for this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.